Hello, this is Brian. Today is Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. I'm here at Cuyamaca Rancho State Park on Milk Ranch Road, and I want to get into a spotlight on shrubs video today. And it's been a while since I've seen this species of plant I want to spotlight, so today is the day. What we have here is California barberry. This is Berberis aquifolium variety dictyota. And our variety is a dictyota. There are, I guess, other varieties, probably like variety aquifolium. But I'm going to be focusing on variety dictyota, the variety that we see here in Southern California. And here I am in basically roughly the center, the geographical center of San Diego County. I'm at about 4,000, almost 4,700 feet above sea level. So what we have here is a small to medium-sized shrub. Sometimes it runs along the ground a little bit. Sometimes it grows kind of prostrate. But it's an evergreen shrub in the Barberry family, the Oregon grape family, the Berberidaceae. Oregon grape is another common name used for plants in the genus Berberis. So we have here kind of a small shrub. Sometimes they can get up to about your height, maybe a little bit taller. I'm 5'7", and this is probably about 3.5 feet tall. And a lot of times they'll grow in sometimes they grow in quite large colonies. Sometimes, like here, they're kind of scattered about. And what we have here are these pinnately compound leaves that are very sharp-edged and very wavy, kind of like a holly. But the leaves are compound. So what we have here, right here, is an entire leaf. It's divided into 3+ leaflets. These ones tend to have 3 leaflets on them, but I believe they can have 5. Whoops, sorry. This one actually had 4 leaflets on it. Just trying to get a better view of it. So the leaves are pinnately compound. And the structure of this shrub is very rugged. Very rugged. As you see here. Quite a rugged statured shrub. Sometimes quite sparse, not usually a very densely crowned shrub. And like I said, sometimes they can grow some quite large populations that can be quite expansive. But here it's a little bit more localized. There are a few populations. If you go along Middle Peak Fire Road, just up that way a little bit, you'll see a couple small populations along that way as well. I've only seen this one a couple times in the wild. I don't get to see it very often. So when I do, I'm finally getting to see it in bloom. So now I'm going to obviously want to finally spotlight this plant. So again, pinnately compound leaves. This one has leaflets of 5. You can see the red rachis, or the leaflet stalk. And the leaves are kind of dullish, light to medium green, kind of an olivish green color from a distance. And the edges are quite wavy, kind of like a holly. They're not really related to hollies, though. Those are in the aquifoliaceae, in the genus Ilex. What we have here is in the Berberidaceae, the Barberry family. So one common cultivated plant here in Southern California at the lower elevations is called heavenly bamboo, Nandina domestica. Nandina domestica is not, I repeat, not a bamboo. A bamboo is a grass, and bamboo, being a grass, is a monocot. This is a eudicot. Seedling leaves 2 per seedling. So heavenly bamboo is a member of the Berberidaceae. It's actually a eudicot. It's related to this here. So I'm going to go take a picture or two, and then I'm going to go on to another shrub, and we're going to start talking about some more details on this plant. Some obvious details that I haven't got into yet. So let's see. Let's get a picture or two, and I'll see you down the way. Alright, so I'm here to buy some more of these. So they can either be kind of growing low along the ground, slightly upright, or they could be fairly upright like this one here. So let's talk about some of the other features of Berberis aquifolium variety dictyota. Now, remember when I mentioned about hollies and the genus Ilex being in the aquifoliaceae, the holly family. So the name aquifolium, when it refers to Berberis aquifolium variety dictyota, alludes to its holly-like leaflets. Again, leaflets. And sometimes they can turn a purplish color during the coldest part of the winter season too, when temperatures are regularly below freezing. So sometimes during the winter time, these plants will get a shade of purple sometimes, at least on some species. I believe this one's probably not much different. So now let's go talk about some of the other features of this plant. Now, one major feature of this plant I can show you. The other feature, it's a little too early for it. So we're going to start looking at the flowers. So these are in bloom right now. These Berberis aquifolium variety dictyota specimens are in bloom right now. As you see here, we do have some flowers. And of course, I walk away from the one that has the most flowers on it. But here we go. These small yellow flowers here. Of course, now I want to show you the flowers. Now I'm away from the one that had the best examples of the blooms. The flowers are kind of small, yellow, 5-petaled, kind of small, really kind of have to look at them carefully, but from a distance, they can catch your eyes. There we go. So this is the detail I can show you. But what usually comes after flowers, fruit. So the fruit of this plant is a small berry-like fruit. Not much larger than the flowers, a little bit larger. And it ripens to a purplish color in the summer and fall months. The plant will have purplish, really dark purplish black fruits on them. Now, some people say that they're edible. Some people say don't try them. So honestly, I don't know what to think about that. So I would not recommend until you're fully sure about this. But I honestly wouldn't pick the fruit off to eat them. I heard that they might be edible from some people, and then some other people say don't eat them. So I refer to the latter, and I don't eat them. So I'm going to get a couple of try to get some detailed pictures of the flowers, and then I'll move on to its habitat and some of its ecology, where it grows, and so forth. All right, so before I move on to its habitat, I want to show you kind of what the bark looks like. It's kind of rough and medium gray, very rugged looking, like a lot of the stems on this plant. There's a little bit of furrowing going on here, as you can see. There's a little bit of furrowing action going on here at the bark. And it's very, very much a multi-stemmed shrub. Very, very multi-stemmed. So we're going to find these. We're here kind of in this little meadow-like grassland here. A lot of times where I see them is usually on the side of trails. And a lot of times you'll see them as understory in oak woodland. That's where I've seen this one quite often. Oak woodland, sometimes under conifers, like pines, firs, and cedars. And you'll also sometimes see them on the edge of chaparral. One really good place, if you're into hiking, one really good place to see a really large population of this plant is to go to the desert divide of the San Jacinto Mountains in Riverside County, north of here. Now, what I did is I took the Cedar Springs Trail up to the Pacific Crest Trail, and I was doing some peak climbing that day. I went over Little Desert Peak, which is not that far from the junction of the PCT and the Cedar Springs Trail. It's closer to the PCT. And then I went over and did Pyramid Peak. And then I was getting closer to Pine Mountain, which I didn't climb that day. I found a very extensive population of this shrub growing all along the trail. There were hundreds of them, and it lasted for a long time. I was walking for a cool minute, and these things were everywhere on both sides of the trail. So that's where there's a huge population of this, and that's between 6,700 and about 6,700 feet elevation. So these do grow up kind of high up. I've seen these lower, here we're below 5,000 feet. And so I guess they can range up to close to 7,000 feet in elevation. Now, there is a similar species, a very similar species that can be occasionally found here, and I've only seen it once, and that is shiny leaf barberry, and that's Berberis pinnata, subspecies pinnata. That's a different species of Berberis. It's similar in a lot of ways, but the major difference is the leaves are a lot more pliable than these really stiff, leathery leaves. Leaves are supposed to be a little thinner in profile, a little more pliable, and shinier, hence the name shiny leaf barberry. So that's one species that could potentially be confused with Berberis aquifolium variety dictyota, which is this one again right here. So it's pretty neat, pretty nice. Pretty nice to see a nice little population here near Huacucuish, the equestrian camp, and the Trout Pond Trailhead, Milk Ranch Road, near Middle Peak. So, as for the range of this plant, it is supposed to be pretty prevalent here in California, but I will give you a little bit more of a detailed range on the screen. And I think that will basically do it for this episode of Spotlight on Shrubs. Thanks for joining me on this episode. I hope you found this helpful in identifying yet another awesome species of plant growing here in Southern California. That'll do it for my Spotlight video. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next episode.